All right. So, this is my review of my time in Europe, Germany and France. So, Germany and France was a pretty interesting experience. It was an eye-opener, to say the least, of European culture, their way, how they interact with other groups of people, and their ego. Upon arrival at the airport, one of the things I noticed is the Germans are not very friendly people, not very friendly at all. They came off very arrogant and low vibrational. They tend to also be very xenophobic and tend to kind of stick in their own group. So I know for me, being who I am, interacting with that, it was just very unnatural. People very much practice duality. However, in Germany, they have a lot of different groups of people. I remember I went to the information desk and I talked to one woman from Ghana, and I asked her, was the people here friendly? She said, no, not at all. She was just blunt about it. She grew up there most of her life, but she just accepted it what it was. And I met another black woman later on who told me that they look at black people as animals. I know when I went in the store to speak to some people of different groups, the Indian people, they're very tribalistic and racist. It's very bizarre because their skin color is the same as mine, but for whatever reason, due to narcissism and stupidity, the people from India, especially the men, they seem to have this very tribalistic and racist mindset. Even though, despite being a system of white supremacy, they're viewed in the term of the N-word as a person of African descent is viewed. But I digress. I don't know. I talked to people when I went to Asia later on. They told me, yeah, Indian people, they're very segregated. Like a lot of guys, they would go to India. To like places like Thailand and have their fun and debauchery, but they kind of walk around like they're pious, and all this stuff is real bizarre. But people told me that's just because that's their culture. They tend to self-isolate themselves, and it's just how their culture is. So I guess it's kind of like with a lot of people of Caucasian descent, where they hate people of color, but they listen to the rap music and copy and emulate the people of color, dress like the people, talk like the people, lust after the men, phalluses, but they hate the men that they lust after, specifically like with the white women and so forth. But in any event, when I would walk around there, I would talk to the people. They didn't really want to talk. It was kind of like they were very obsessed with trying to pretend that they were like a different species or something, like they're a different race. And it was bizarre because it was like, well, I don't really think they're different species. They just lack hue in their skin, and that's whatever. It doesn't really matter. But for them, it seemed like they were very obsessed with like having a difference. Like they were obsessed over it, like in an unnatural way. And a lot of their behavior contradicted like a lot of the spiritual teachings I grew up on, like Christianity, where it talks about the Jew and Gentile and we're all together. But with these people, they seemed like they felt like they were above that, above God. They just were like, white, and that made them right, kind of thing. But when I would talk to the people, like other people, like in the service industry, because a lot of people that came there from the Philippines or Thailand, they were actually kind of pretty friendly. But yeah, it was real kind of like it was just like a very, like, you could feel like the negativity, and it didn't really make any sense. Like one time I was walking, some Caucasian woman, she made a point to try to run her shoulder into me, and it was just like she was like trying to have a fight with me for whatever reason. But it kind of harkened back to the mindless racism that's in the United States of America, when like a lot of people let's say they see a black person, they're doing well for the self-defined mindless racial stereotypes, they hate them for not being the stereotype that they make fun of. So Yeah, it was very cold. And I later did research on Germany. A lot of Caucasian people, particularly from Western Europe, said, yeah, people in Germany are pretty small-minded. Many of them are Nazis. Like many white female writers and people, even white females I talked to from Holland and so forth, yeah, they told me they're not very diverse people. They don't believe in diversity. Most of any act that they put on is just an act, but they're not friendly. And the African woman I spoke about early in this video, she even told me that, yeah, she'd been living there for 20 some years. She came from Ghana to provide a better life for her daughter, but they don't look at blacks as human. A lot of this, my experience in Germany, really contradicted what a lot of black men I noticed in America state, where they say, oh yeah, go to Germany. The white women there are very open. They like black men, da-da-da-da-da. But when I was there, I could just feel the vibration of hatred. Like, it was like almost like something you read about in Revelations, you know, like it just real, like hatred. Like it was like, oh, I hate you. All that hue in your skin, that color in your skin, I hate you because you got the color in your skin. Like, it was purely illogical. And it wasn't a pleasant experience. Like, I know in the vlog that I posted, the nightlife, I mean, people are having fun, and they are. Like, you see in the video where they listen to like all these different races of music, like hip hop and so forth, but they hate the people that they're dancing to. Like, it's like, it's fucking weird. Excuse my language, but it's just bizarre. And the reason I point this stuff out is because a lot of times people, they try to paint a narrative that, you know, people are inclusive or open-minded. Like, a lot of black American GIs will say, oh yeah, go to Germany, they like black guys, da-da-da, and da-da-da, but it's a lie. Like, the literature by many white writers says no. Like, these people are they're unfriendly. You can't talk to them. They don't want to talk. You know, they're not inclusive people. Everything with them was an act. You know, they have a lot of tension there. With these people called the Turkish people there too. Like, there's like Turkish phobia, I think, there. And Turkish people, by the way, even with the Turkish phobia, where they get hated on for being there, they're racist too. Like, the Turkish people, they feel like they're superior to other people, but they're not even considered full white. And so, based off the racial stratification of you know, white supremacy, the Turkish people get treated poorly, but then they have like their own groups, and like then they just think they're better than other people. Yeah, just to an intellectual, they just look really bizarre. Like, their mindset, but it's pretty developed. I mean, somehow, some way, it's not developed like France or UK. I mean, they're better countries than Germany, but it's you know, it's pretty developed. You know, pretty developed. You know, I mean, not like America, but you know, maybe one day they'll get to that point. But they probably gotta, you know, work on that diversity thing. But yeah, I mean, it was, you know, I've only went in one city though. You know, to be fair, I was only in Berlin. So, I mean, you can't judge a country by one city, right? I mean, if you're speaking logically speaking, you can't, you know, judge a country off of one city. But in my opinion, you know, it's certainly not a country I would recommend. Matter of fact, many women of Caucasian descent told me, hell no, don't go to Germany. Their food sucks. You know, they're pretty boring people. You know, I said, so like UK or France is better, or even Holland, right? Like, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be, so basically, like, it's gonna be more diversity, which is keyword, like, more open to like black people being here and so forth. Like, yeah, I mean, that don't, you know, Germany, So, she basically called me the Nazis. I don't like using that term, like, to, you know, name call people, but, you know, she's Caucasian, she said it, so it was like, oh, okay. I'm not saying that. I'm not calling nobody no names, but they certainly weren't the most open-minded people, despite their love and attraction of black culture. But, you know, in any event, trying to apply rational thought to a xenophobic person is probably a monumental waste of time. So, or a group of people that's xenophobic or racist is a monumental waste of time. But yeah, I wanted to get that out of the way of this video because that narrative of them being inclusive of black men is bullshit to me. I guess it depends on the kind of black guy you are. If you're gonna let somebody talk down to you, or if you're a guy that glorifies women based off of their hue or lack of hue or whatever. But I'm, at least with me, I'm all about looking at people based off of how they act, how they treat people, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, like when I would go around the people, not even just women, but the guys, when I talked to the men on the street, they were like all like paranoid and insular minded. Like they didn't have no real swag to them. Like they were just kind of like robots almost. Like it just like it was no natural fluidity to them. You know what I mean? Like it was, and it felt like when I was feeling the energy, it just felt like they were trying to force themselves to behave like this. Like it wasn't natural or something. Like they just needed to be superior kind of thing, but they're not superior. And they want you to believe they're superior, but you don't believe they're superior, so they get mad about it. That kind of thing. Yeah. So, it wasn't really like something that I recommend. It wasn't like UK. Like when I went to the UK, the people were cool. I mean, of all groups, I mean, like I was partying in West End, and like the people were much more friendly. I know people say like UK, but to me, it was cool. Like UK, even France, which I'll later talk about in the video. I mean, in Paris, like some people have their opinions about, especially like American, they say like the French are kind of, this or that or stuck up, whatever. But I didn't feel that. I didn't really feel that. I felt like the place, when I walked around, I felt like sophistication. I felt like I was like around like the top country. I mean, obviously them being one of the major world conquerors of the planet, conquering most of the planet. So, I mean, they kind of had that swag to them. But, yeah, I did a couple of tours. I did a bike tour where we rode around Berlin, near where the Berlin Wall was. And they had a bunch of graffiti on it and stuff like that. Actually, no, they had it painted. They had it painted. And we rode around some of the big monuments that you'll see later in this video. But yeah, it was kind of like a forgettable place. I think like if you're like a person that's conscious and that like values like reality, I don't think you would be feeling it too much. I mean, even with the nightlife, like in the video I posted, it was cool, it was all right, but it wasn't like, if you wanted like a European, I think like, when people think about Europe and they think about like, like the stylish clothes and like that kind of like that swagger you be seeing with a lot of let's say soccer players, so forth, and like just the whole like the James Bond kind of experience. I think you're gonna get that more. Like I definitely think you got to go to like England. That's what I like. Even when I was talking to a lot of people, Caucasians, and they were telling me like, yeah, like England, like France, like Portugal. They mentioned like you should check out Portugal. Yeah, check out Portugal, Spain. Those would be better places. Ibiza. But yeah, they were like, nah. I mean, man, you better off going to Copenhagen. I think it was Denmark, Copenhagen. Yeah, I think that's the country, Denmark. Yeah, they mentioned you should check that place out. That'd probably be a little better. But yeah, I think I did that bike tour, did the nightlife, went out to the restaurants. They had a good amount of Berlin. I'm vegan, so Berlin's known as having one of the top places in the planet for veganism and having vegan restaurants. I thought it was okay. I mean, I didn't really see nothing really special about it. I mean, many places around the planet are really adopting a more of a plant-based diet. So I think that putting pen to pad as far on the universal web and people being aware that there's a lot of countries doing that too now is coming into play, but it's not known yet. So maybe Berlin's looked at as being more posh with regards to the plant-based lifestyle than others, but I don't really think it was. I mean, I've been in places like Costa Rica and they had a lot of good restaurant options there too. So, I mean, yeah. My opinion, personally, I didn't like Germany. I thought the people were very small-minded, like they were very mediocre. I didn't like as far as like, I know with guys, like they think about women, right? So they think about like getting like a blonde or something like that. I didn't really think the women were that attractive. They kind of look homey. I know this kind of comes out like a little biased, but like, all right, give you an example. In UK, like everybody is really dressed down to the nines. Like, you're not gonna see no girl come out in Crocs or nothing. Like, their hair is like really well taken care of, really sharp, and I'm not like, it's not like a rose-colored glass thing. I had to admire like how they dress, and like a lot of people told me, yeah, it's kind of like New York, you know, like they people come outside, they looking sharp, they looking right. It's not. But when I was in Germany, they just kind of looked like basic, like homey, like it just, and they were like, like once, like when I was I didn't have it on the video, but it was like these girls in the subway and they was like in their underwear, like they would just walk around in underwear like it was normal. Like you would see people, like there was a part where they had people just being naked. Yeah. So it wasn't my thing. Maybe it's somebody else's thing. I don't think there's like I don't like, you know, like a lot of black men, they say, oh yeah, they love, you know, black men over there. I don't know what the hell they talking about. Especially in the track community, I don't know what the hell they talking about. You do better in UK. I think that, and the women would look better there. I think it's kind of obvious. Even when I later went to France, like it was like better. Like, I mean, it's like night and day almost. Like, and I mean, France has its problems too. I mean, all these countries, I mean, they're world conquerors, and they promoted the system of white supremacy to mentally break down people, all groups all around the planet. But I mean, at least when I was like in UK and France, like they was like, they didn't come outside looking like shit, you know? So you know, and there was kind of like more like a class to them, like too, you know, people had more class. I didn't see that in Germany, at least not Berlin. So, yeah, I definitely would never go to Germany again. And I would advise all brothers to please stop saying that German women like black men. I'm pretty like everywhere. They all like black men. They all hate, a lot of people hate black men too, and sometimes like them. But whenever you got a vibe like that, where the people are like real negative and like, you know, they got this twisted view of reality that their lack of hue makes them superior over other people, and they're trying very hard. It's like a lion, right? A lion doesn't try to be a lion, it's just a lion, right? These people are trying to be superior over you. So, like, what does that say about them? And so if it says maybe they're insecure and not actually, they have an inferior complex or they're not superior, why the hell would you want to be around them? So, yeah. So later on, I went to France. Now, France was a lot better. Whew, I was like, thank God. I'm around civilization. You know, when I went there, the people, like, it was real well developed. Like, you know, it had old ancient architecture. You know, like the airport was even more developed in many ways. I was in Paris, and you know, like it was diverse too. Like you had a lot of Africans there. You could tell, and they had like a lot of people from North Africa. People, of course, Arabs, a lot of Arabs, really all throughout Europe. People of Arab descent in the Middle East, right? You know, it was just a lot of different cultures, and people were like festive. They was like, when we went, I did a couple tours around the city. people were very much more festive, much more livelier. Unlike in the bike tour that I did in Germany, people would seem like they were having fun. They were smiling, like they wasn't all gloomy or doomy. I know I went on one bar crawl and I was telling the women, I was like, there's some from the U.S., some from Asia, and it was like, now I see why women like coming here to Paris. Like, it's so much, like, it's so beautiful here. Like, it's so sophisticated. And one of the tour guys, he told me, yeah, Germany's been through a lot. They, from an economic standpoint, and then just, so I'm saying, I was asking him, so France on a different level. I was like, oh yeah, definitely. I was like, yeah, I could tell. Yeah, it was just a lot better. As far as like Caucasian people concerned, like, it was arrogance. It's gonna be, it's always gonna be the superiority complex due to colonialism and conquering the Africans and the indigenous people and so forth. But for the most part, people were cool. Like, it wasn't like, nothing to like really note about like I just did about Germany. It wasn't, I didn't favor everybody. You're never going to favor everybody, but I felt like it's a place you could definitely go vacation and go see and really get a taste of that history. I went to the Eiffel Tower. Yeah, the Eiffel Tower. The monument that was created in the 1800s. It's iconic and synonymous with Paris, France. And yeah, it was cool. I enjoyed it. So I definitely will go back. Definitely will go back to Paris. It's so much. I didn't even touch an inch of it. They have a lot of different things there. Like they had this. It was these 4 artists that came on. They did a song in 2021. It was called the Moulin Rouge, I think it was called. It was with Christina Aguilera, Lil Kim, two other artists. But in any event, they had this show based off of that music video they did and based off of the movie that they was doing the music video for. It's really popular there, really interesting thing to check out. Crepes, the food crepes, that's pretty synonymous, if I'm not mistaken, with French cuisine, and they have that all there. Let's see. It's pretty cool. You'll see it later in the video, the different places I went to in Paris, and yeah, man, it was dope. The women were pretty, very, like, real stylish, just like when I was in UK, like, they had like the latest linen on, and they were looking fancy, like, whew, man. You had some Armenian chicks there, chicks looking like Kim Kardashian, just walking around, like, wow, like it was something different, and it was something cool. Let's see. Yeah, man, it was a good time. It was a pretty good time. I had a short stay there. I wasn't there that long, but I was there enough to see, hey, I got to come back. I got to come back and check it out and see what it's all about a little bit more. And yeah, I definitely would recommend going to France for a vacation. One of the brothers I met there told me to go check out the coastline, and he said check out some of the beaches there and see what it's all about. And you'll definitely see some nice sights and sounds there. So definitely I will put that on the list. And like I told you earlier in the video, a number of people from Caucasians, men and women, they told me, you got to check out Spain too. You got to go to Ibiza, I think it's called. So I got to check that out. And Portugal. I always hear about Portugal. So, yeah. I think like going off of those two countries I went to, Germany and France, I would say 2 thumbs down to Germany. People are very small-minded. I'm not gonna call them Nazis. There was other people in Western Europe or Western European descent that said that. I don't have to say that. So it wasn't, I give it 2 thumbs down because, just a cold environment. People were very unfriendly, the women were like very masculine, like they kind of like, you know, the whole like feminine vibe plus the racism vibe, and it just, you know, just makes for a very creepy thing. And then also with the women walking around in their underwear in the subway, and then like, you know, acting like they, you know, like sophisticated and civilized and superior, but they're walking out in, you know, the subway in their underwear, you know, and the naked parks. Who wants to be around that weird shit? You know what I mean? So, but like with France, it was a little better. I mean, as we all know, they got the issues there. You always hearing about some issues there, right? Particularly in Paris, with the protests and so forth, with various issues. But I think when you're going there for a vacation and you want to see sophisticated European culture, I think you definitely gonna get it. Obviously in Paris. I mean, come on, you know. So you're gonna get it there. And I think that also the honorable mentions that was mentioned to me by people of the Western European diaspora to check out Spain, Ibiza, Lesbon, and Portugal. Those are places to check out. And I think that it's something to keep note of. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my thoughts and reviews of the two European countries of Germany and France. In this video, you'll see some clips and videos of my time in the two countries, and I hope that you enjoy.
Then you can walk up, but there's no elevator. So it's quite strenuous, 280 or 270 steps.
Wow, that's a lot.
260, 70? I don't remember exactly. Oh, maybe it's less now. I don't know, I only remember up to the chocolate lamp where we go to high. This was, I think, 270. Okay, we go to the traffic light, turn to the left, have the bike lane all the way, and 1 mile from here. Yes, many of these buildings have been 100% reconstructed. On the left side, for example, this completely reconstructed. You will see them later. On the other side, they could have been saved as a damage. But this, for example, is a good example. Looks like an H. This is nowadays it's a main building of Humboldt University. But in the past, it's a good example how the nobility lived. It was the residence of the brother of the king, Prince Heinrich, and he had not such a high function, but this was his very small residence. And the king, he lived in many castles like this one, and also I told you before outside the city. There's another very impressive castle, but it's not here on the model because it's the rest of it is the castle in Rottenburg. Then you know it's worth to go. It's beautiful, especially with the big garden behind. It's very nice. The big English garden behind, but also the building itself is quite impressive.
It's not from the Seine River. It's not from the Seine River. That's it. Even if we had it, I'm not sure I'd want to use it in it. I'm saying like the same.
Yeah, many people think that the wall was only running in the city center, like here. But this would have made no sense because there was only one main town.
We're not entering the building.
And what is the roof again? What is that house?
Oh, it used to be a house of the royals. It used to be a royal castle,
Oh, okay.
and then it was turned into a museum. Napoleon Bonaparte was the last person who ever lived there. In the 16th century, that's when it was built. And yeah, ever since then it's a museum. Since 18th century. Yeah.
Y te lo he dicho años. No es a huevo.
Did she lie? We'll go inside sometimes. So yes, we will be on